Hi, everybody. Welcome to Total Boss Life. Total Boss TV. I'm Sotia Yi, and I'm going to be sharing more about some of the health and safeties. This is part two with my friend, Kathryn, who is an expert when it comes to health and safety, and she's also specialized in the respiratory section. So she's been helping hospitals with their health and safety trainings, and today we're going to continue with some of the questions we had. Thank you so much, Kathryn, for continuing this interview series with us.
Thanks for having me, Sotia. This is awesome.
Appreciate it. Thank you. I know you've been really busy. The hospital has taken a lot of your time. And thank you so much for taking the time to share a lot of the questions, a lot of FAQs that we have and busting some of these myths. So we'll get started right away. One of the things I wanted to know and people want to know is what's the difference between the hand sanitizer and washing your hands? Because I know that some certain stores may have hand sanitizing. I even saw, for example, when I went to the grocery store, one of them had a hand washing station there. Is there a difference? Should you do both? What's your input on that?
There is a difference. Hand sanitizer, what it does, it's got to be at least 70% alcohol. And the ones that we use in the hospital are definitely over 70%. And what a hand sanitizer does is it kills certain bacteria and viruses on the hands, but it doesn't physically remove the dirt. It doesn't remove physical dirt. So hand sanitizer is meant to not completely replace proper hand washing, but as a supplement to proper hand washing. So when you're washing your hands, you're doing that scrubbing with the soap and water, making sure to get all the surfaces of your hands and around your wrists and whatnot, to actually remove the dirt that's on the hands.
Okay, great. So that answers that. The other thing is, how are the hospitals right now? I haven't been to the hospital. I know some people are scared of going to the hospital. And is there a procedure? Is there certain things that you should consider even before going to the hospital?
Yeah, there will be screenings. So there will be volunteers or hospital staff who are asking questions. And I know some people are scared to go to even the emergency room. They might be experiencing signs and symptoms of a heart attack. They're like, oh, I don't want to go because I don't want to get COVID. Yeah. If you are having chest pain, please go to the emergency room. If you're having signs and symptoms of something that you think is serious enough for an ER visit under normal circumstances, then go. Otherwise, the hospital is fairly quiet because all the non-emergency stuff, non-essential types of surgeries and procedures are not being done right now. So the nose job is going to have to wait if that's you. And people who normally work in areas like orthopedics, or other areas where they're not seeing clients right now because it's not essential, then they're being redeployed to other areas to meet the demand there.
That's so funny you talk about the nose job. I think that's one of the reasons why people hire you, because you make it engaging and fun. And I think that's one of the reasons as well, where we know that, well, at least I know in my industry, is that when people are having fun, their likelihood of capturing the information is a lot higher. It actually goes all the way to 90%. So I think that's one of the reasons why you make sure the training that you do is also fun.
Yeah, and you know what? Right now, there's tension. Like, even people working in healthcare who are dealing with germs and really gross things all the time, there's still some extra tension there, and as something on top of what they're already possibly worrying about, they worry even more. So I find that bringing the humor and the jokes in there, it might take a couple before they warm up to it, but it helps ease the tension and say, yeah, you know what, this is okay, we're going to get this done, and you're going to be fine. This is your mask, you can trust it, and go about your daily life and do your job with confidence.
So speaking of daily life, I know that one of the things you have done is you've gone through grocery stores, and there's actually two opinions on this. So one of them is how the consumer, how the people going to the grocery stores are protecting themselves, and then also what the staff at the grocery store. So, for example, I went to very big chain. It rhymes with Mart, and for whatever reason, the majority of staff there were not wearing any protection at all, and that really caught my attention. Whereas a different grocery store I went to, all their staff were wearing protection. So what's your opinion on that? Is that something that you think would be required for somebody working there? And in terms of us going to the grocery store, should we be also protecting ourselves as well? What's your opinion on that?
Well, I think I've seen different measures that different grocery stores have used as well. And you've probably seen the plexiglass barriers that are in between the riffraff and the grocery store staff. And that can be effective as well. That could be in place of wearing a mask. And then you're probably seeing the people out on the floor who are wearing a mask. And most of what I've seen is they're wearing those procedure masks, which is effective for protecting other people from whatever germs that person has. And it really, I think what the grocery store decides to do really depends on what their management, what the corporate management and their health and safety team have decided to do. And they've likely considered the different information from the World Health Organization and the Ministry of Health here in Ontario would be who they're listening to. So they're taking in lots of different information, and they probably have health and safety professionals helping them to decipher it and distill it in, okay, what makes sense for our people to do, measuring also the risk. What's the risk, depending on what the person does in the store. If they're up in the office all the time, the risk is different from the person who is the cashier and is working with person after person after person. So you've probably seen that they're limiting any kind of contact, like the person is not taking anything out of your hand, any sort of transactions that you're doing, you're the one tapping the card, like they're not touching anything. So there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes in order to determine the risk and decide what's best for their employees in the circumstances.
If you happen, for example, there's a grocery store out there, and why would they? I don't know if they have a health and safety person. They probably do have a health and safety person. So if they have a health and safety person, where would you come in, and what type of recommendations you would make, or what are some of the steps that you would help to make the place safer and at the same time make the consumers feel more comfortable? In my case at least, when I went there, I was really shocked that the staff who were on the floor was not wearing any protective equipment, and they weren't practicing social distancing. So fortunately for me, I'm young enough, but I'm talking about other people who may be a lot more concerned. They might think, oh my goodness, like what's going on over here? Just want to get your opinion on that.
Yeah, well, the store itself likely has a health and safety committee, and that would be made up of a certain number of workers or employees and a certain number of managers. And sometimes it's a matter of what's the culture like of the company. So that's something that I would find out. And you can see also what the culture is like depending on what people are doing. And there's also, I would look and see, okay, how are we following up to make sure that people are doing this, and what are we doing if they don't? So are there rules, are there expectations in terms of distancing? And also I would look at how that person is working. What movements do they typically make throughout the store? What's the person who's stocking produce, for example? And can we look at how they're doing their job, how they're going to and from the stock and things like that, to change something there to allow them to maintain distancing, and then following up on if they've been instructed to wear PPE, and then it may be following up with them, or can we, and not or, but and can we create a way to let it land with them how important it is that these procedures are followed.
Yeah. So I think one of the things you shared that in there was really key, which is the culture of the company. So it all depends on what the culture of the company and what they want to share moving forward. The other thing I think it's really important, it sounds to me like it's more like a case by case basis and it requires some personalization in terms of, figuring out what the role and responsibilities are of each individual, at least from that position. Um, I think those are some really, really good insights. I know that you have a resource that you want to share with people if they ever have any questions. I think you have a resource that's amazing, which helps a lot of the employers that are going through the current COVID-19 pandemic, and what are the top things they should be look out for, what are certain things that they may not be aware of. And I think one of the biggest thing is there's so much information out there that you don't know what's true and what's not true. So that's one of the reasons why we have Kathryn, who's actually working directly with the hospital and keeping everybody safe, which is great. Thank you for that. And the best way I think for people is just to leave you a comment if they want to get access to this resource. Is that how it works?
Yeah, that's the perfect way to do it. Leave me a comment and I'll share the resource
Yeah,
as soon
awesome.
as possible.
Yes, I know you're very busy helping the hospital. I know the fit testing requires a lot of your attention. So thank you so much, Kathryn. We're going to continue this segment on the pandemic with COVID-19 and making sure that everybody has the right information. So thank you again, Kathryn, and everybody stay safe in the meantime, okay?
Thanks for having me.